Broadcasting live from an undisclosed location. This is the TCMMA podcast with your host, Chris Cross.
Whoa!
Dana White privilege.
Let's go, baby! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go, baby!
Dana White privilege. Privilege.
Welcome to the TCMMA podcast. It's your boy Chris Cross checking in. And no, I have not lost my voice yet. It was crackling last night. It was going out late into the wee hours of the morning, as Alex Pereira ended up getting the KO finish over Khalil Roundtree Jr. And what a fight it was. Credit Khalil Roundtree for doing a phenomenal job to stay in that fight. And we got all the picks for you from last night, what went right, what went wrong. We're going to get into all that. We're going to get into the Pereira reaction. But first, I want to jump into the co-main event, and then we'll work up to the main event and then talk about all the other stuff. So that's how we'll do it this morning. In the co-main event, between Rockwell Pennington and Juliana Pena, this went to a 5-round decision. And here's what it sounded like in that one, because this led to a lot of controversy. Check it out. So, as we await the decision, here's the stats, okay? Pennington 125 to 103 in total strikes. She also led in significant strikes 101 to 84. Head strikes, Pena still held on there, 82 to 78, so very close, and she was way up after round 3. She had 2 takedowns, 540 of control. Both of those came in the second and third round. So really, to me, it's all about round 1. And when you have fights like this, it always goes back to the weirdest round. The most insignificant round decides it. And that was the first round when they were just feeling each other out. And it was basically even at that point, but I have a feeling Pennington's going to get the win. So here we go. Possible split. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Pena looks nervous. Here we go. Come on, Pena. Come on, Pena. It's going to be split for the title. 48-47, Pennington. Or Pena, now Pennington. Final judge. Oh my God, 48-47. Close. Round 1, I'm telling you. And no! Yeah! Pena stole the belt, and Pennington cannot believe it. She cannot believe it. Very close fight, and they hug it out, and they know how close that fight was. But Juliana Pena just stole the belt. And I know people get crazy when I say that. But when you're the contender and you win, you stole the belt. Right? Because you got to steal the belt when you beat the champ. That's just how I feel. So Juliana Pena gets the win. That's the way it goes down here. Women's bantamweight division. New champion at UFC 307. Yeah, so I don't know why anybody is confused by the decision. We told you while it was going down, it's going to be all about round 1. And people are going crazy about round 1 today. And the fact is, like I said, live in the moment, it always comes down to the most insignificant round, because you're like, okay, I know this fighter got 2 rounds here. The other fighter got 2 rounds there. So now we got to go to the closest round. This is what happens in split decisions. And sometimes the closest round is a big round. And sometimes the closest round is like round 1 where nothing happened. Very minimal action. They're trying to feel each other out, and that decides the fight. And, you know, you go back and you wish as a fighter, you're probably like, man, why did I start so slow? And, I mean, it all came down to round 1. And round 1 was, like, insignificant. And, again, this is why a point system to me is so much more important. You know, how can there be fantasy UFC where they got points for this, for that, knockdowns, control time, significant strikes, total strikes, all this stuff. They got points, and we got to have 3 judges figure this thing out. I mean, it should be just straight points. It should just be straight points. But listen, people were up in arms today about that. It is what it is. That's the way it went down. And, don't leave it in the judge's score. Don't leave it in the judge's hands. Don't leave it in the judge's hands. These judges, dog, these judges. They'll let you down every time. The judges are going to let you down every time. Now, of course, let's dive right into the main event. I mean, this thing finished with a flurry, and Khalil Roundtree looked great for a while, but Alex Pereira is just too much in the end. This is what it sounded like late last night. Pereira's just a beast. Oh, this might be it. Alex Pereira, open it up now. This could be the beginning of the end. I'll tell you what, Khalil has heart, man. Khalil has heart, but he's like one punch away from going down. There's a body shot, and that's going to probably be it. Khalil goes down, and that's it. And Pereira tries to go in for more. He gets pulled off by the ref, and Alex Pereira retains the belt. But dang, I'll tell you what, the story of the night is Khalil Roundtree, too. I mean, Alex Pereira is a ridiculous champ. Oh my goodness gracious. Alex Pereira is ridiculous, man. He's going to move to 12-2. And he withstood he withstood a barrage from Khalil Roundtree, right? He withstood it. And just over time broke him down. But Khalil Roundtree has tremendous heart. Tomorrow, or whenever the rankings come out, Khalil Roundtree should be 3 or 4. But that's not how it works. It's crazy. Unbelievable. So listen, that's a wrap, man. Alex Pereira retains the belt, KOs Khalil Roundtree. Basically KOs him into submission with 27 seconds left in round 4. But Khalil Roundtree held in there for nearly 20 minutes with one of the baddest dudes on the planet. And had chances in rounds 2 and 3, but couldn't get the job done. So Alex Pereira wins, 12-2. Still champion, baby. Light heavyweight division. UFC 307. Yeah, so that was the big finale last night. Alex Pereira gets the KO, finishes Khalil Roundtree, who just stood there and took it down the stretch. You could just see him late in round 4 just starting to really lose steam, but he looked great early on. In the end, significant strikes, Pereira 127-61. Head strikes 92-34. Not a lot of that, but the major separation coming in round 4 when Pereira just took over. Now, he was definitely winning the fight, but Khalil Roundtree had opportunities at times where it looked like something good could happen, or he made something happen, right? And, you just can't, it's just hard to finish Pereira, But the guy looked really good. I don't think a lot of people expected that. And he was the best contender so far in the light heavyweight division. So that's where the question comes in with the rankings. And Dana White talking last week about AI is on its way. And a lot of times when something like this happens, which doesn't happen often, but a number 8 contender in this situation comes in, he looks good, he gets finished, and you come back next week and he's still number 8. And you're like, wait a minute, he looked better than Yuri. He looked better than a few other fighters, Jamal Hill, right? I mean, he lasted a lot longer. Why doesn't he get to catapult in the rankings even though he lost? And that's the problem. And that's the problem. And I know some people have a problem with that. It's like he lost, but he looked good in the loss, right? I don't think anyone in the light heavyweight division is beating Pereira right now. I would say Khalil gave it the best attempt that you could hope for at the end of the day, but he won't move up in the rankings. So throughout the night, Dana White getting on the judges big time. They were separating fights, Joe Rogan and DC, I'm talking throughout the fight too, so I'm commentating, but trying to listen to a little bit of what they're saying. They don't necessarily like it, but they're not talking out against it as much because some of these fighters are just holding. And Dana White had some things to say. He said out last night at the post-fight press conference, I always think that the referee should be more active on that, 100%, especially when someone keeps doing it to stall, right? And this is late in the night, right after the UFC 307 finale. You guys aren't going to let up on this, are you? So let's get into it. If you're judging a guy, if it's on control, this or that, if you're not trying to fight, then how do you win the fight? If you're looking at attempted takedowns, what about stuffing the takedowns, right? It's just madness. And I say that all the time. These guys are defending takedown after takedown. They don't get credit for it. I don't think you even need a stalling clock, as McGregor alluded to, right? It's just obvious. It is more or less what Dana White is saying. He goes on to say if he did it three rounds in a row, and he keeps doing it, and he doesn't get the takedown, then give him a couple seconds to see if he gets a takedown, then break it up. And that's what they were doing last night. You saw a steady flow. I mean, 6 or 7 times fighters have been pulled off, and you don't see that too often. And it didn't seem like the commentators were totally against it. And I could be wrong on that because I can't hear as well while I'm talking. And I'm sure Joe Rogan weighed in a little bit, but it's not. Yeah, I guess there were times when they were upset with it, but it doesn't seem like they're speaking out as much. Maybe their reaction, yes, but they're not speaking out. So, I have to run that back and check that out because there was a few key times I really wanted to hear, but I'm talking during the watch party, so it's hard to hear everything that's happening. So, this is kind of how it turned out last night for us with the picks, 7-5 on the night. We get Pena and Pereira at the end. That's what matters. We want to be right at the top of the card, most importantly. But we lost with Aldo in a close fight. Kevin Holland we lost with, but he couldn't come out in the second round. Just an unfortunate, injury when he tried to pull up, hurt his rib. I mean, it's crazy. Kayla Harrison, big win. Joaquin Buckley, big win. And you know what? Maybe we'll play that for you in a second because that was crazy. And we lost on Marina Rodriguez and Ihor Potieria. One of those was a robbery. I can't remember which one. But we got Hernandez, Spann, Court McGee. Yeah, it was Carla Esparza Carla Esparza won the fight yesterday. And they said she lost. I mean, the crowd was booing like crazy. That was the one that was, man, you just cannot leave it in the judge's hands. These judges, dog, these judges. You just can't do it. And it's unfortunate. But 7-5 on the night, 19-14 in the main event, 241 and 160 on the year. We're desperately trying to get to the plus 100 mark. But we got to have 19 more wins and losses, and the year's getting late now. So I didn't think that would happen, but it's happening. We're going to try to get to over plus 100 like we did last year. Last year's record was way better than this year's. I argue that there's a lot tougher competition. Things are a little different. Matchmakers are doing a great job. We're still 19-14 in the main event. We struggled early, struggled in the middle, and eventually got over the top and had a couple back-to-back losses. We're back in the win column thanks to guys like Pereira for getting us there. Yes, for sure. So that's the way it went down last night, Dana White had some things to say about the judges, the officiating, all that. But we move on now. We're going to move on quickly, too, because the next one is the big one. UFC 308. Okay? Khamzat Chimaev, Robert Whittaker. Let me just slow down because I want to get I'm going to get excited. Okay? But we got to get through the Contender Series, week 9 and 10. We got to look at a few of these fights today. And then we're going to get to Khamzat. Don't worry, it's coming in big doses because when this Contender Series is over, that's where all the focus is shifting. But it's been really exciting over the first 8 weeks. And week 9 is here. And 29 is it now? We didn't get to update the board because of UFC 307. We were too busy. But something like 29 fighters are in. I mean, it's incredible. Absolutely incredible. And we got 10 fights left on the season. So that's good news. So as we switch gears, completely switch gears, right? I mean, we're totally switching gears right now. But as we get into week 9 of Dana White's Contender Series, we're going to begin in fight 5 and march our way up. Okay, you got Gauchi. Let me lower this so I can give you both names, full names. You got Sean Gauchi versus Anthony Drilich, 9-1 versus 8-1 flyweight division fight. So let's jump into that one right now. In the flyweight division at Dana White's Contender Series, your first fight of the night, you got Sean Gauchi taking on Anthony Drilich. And this should be an interesting opening fight because Gauchi's 9-1, Drilich 8-1. You got Australia versus Australia. I like it. Gauchi, 27 years old, Drilich, 30. So let's begin with Sean Gauchi. The 9 wins, 5 KOs, 4 decisions. He did lose one fight by decision to Tim Moore back in 2017. Wow, he's got a win over Steve Urseg in 2017. That's impressive. And he's run off like 6 straight wins since that 2017 loss. Now, Drilich in his 8 wins, 4 KOs, 2 submissions, 2 decisions, lost once by decision, and has since run off 6 straight wins. So, and he's fighting out of Eternal MMA. Sean Gauchi fighting out of Hex Fight Series. So, not a lot to go off of here. But I do like the fact you got a win over Steve Urseg, even though that's back in 2017. It's a high-level guy. Maybe not then, but he is now. So if that trajectory remains the same, Sean Gauchi could be on his way. And you figure they were like 19, 20 years old. Well, at least Gauchi was when they fought. So I like Gauchi to win this fight. It's clear to me. Drilich is very good too. Who knows what's going to happen, honestly. We don't have a lot to go off here, but a Sean Gauchi win over that guy is impressive. So I like him to win this fight, probably by decision, to move to 10-1, flyweight division, Dana White's Contender Series. Yeah, and the thing is I don't know if a decision gets you in. That's the problem for Gauchi, is you're going to have to get the finish. I don't know if a decision gets you in here. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, Sean Gauchi could be a good addition to the UFC should he win, right? Moves to 10-1, and it's Australia versus Australia. So, but I'm always rooting for a finish in these fights. Now in fight 4, you got a big welterweight division fight. You got Benilto Antunes, 16-6, taking on Islam Dulatov, who comes in at 10-1. And if I'm not mistaken, this guy has a lot of height coming into this fight. Right? I think this is the most viewed prediction. I could be wrong for this week, but I thought I saw this fight was ramped up. So let's jump into this one. 2 big guys, right? 170 pounds. Here we go. In the welterweight division at Dana White's Contender Series, you got Benilto Antunes coming in at 16-6, taking on Islam Dulatov. I've heard that name before. Who comes in at 10-1. So impressive record there. Antunes, we don't have a height on him, but Dulatov is 6'5". We know Antunes is 29. You don't always have a lot to go off of here in the Contender Series. Now Antunes, Brazilian, I like that. In his 16 wins, 14 KOs, but he lost 6, 2 by KO, 4 by submission. So, you know, he's not anywhere close to undefeated, but he's won 3 in a row. Most recently at LFA, where he got a TKO win. Islam Dulatov, heard him before, or heard of him, right, out of Germany. I like that too. In 10 wins, he's got 6 KOs, 4 submissions. He lost once by decision, but that was way back in 2019. Since then, he's run off about 10 wins. Yeah, all 10 in a row. So he lost his first fight. You might as well scratch that. And the amateur rank, same way. He lost the first one. Like he's getting his feet wet, and then won every one after that. So, you know, Dulatov is going to have to be careful of the KO power of the Brazilian Antunes, but I still like Islam Dulatov to get the win here. I just see 10-1, and I think, man, he's got a lot of experience fighting at a Sparta Championship, Brave CF, Octagon MMA. So this is going to be a very close fight. But I don't like the fact that Antunes lost 6 times. Can't go with you in that sense. Got a lot of experience, though. But Dulatov from Germany is going to get the win here, in my opinion, by second round KO or submission. He'll get the finish in round 2. That's my pick. Dulatov wins. Move to 11-1, welterweight division. Dana White's Contender Series. Yeah, and I feel pretty solid about this guy. I feel pretty solid about Islam Dulatov getting a win here. I know some of you are going to get into the comments section one way or the other. And it is what it is. I don't go against Brazilians too often, but I got to go against one in this one, right? I mean, 10-1 for 16-6. Yeah, I'll take 10-1 in this one. A little bit less experience, but you know, he's proven that he can get the job done. Now, in the heavyweight division, fight 3, you got Lucas Camacho, 6-0, taking on Mario Pinto, 8-0. And you can tell this is a division, one of the top 4 or 5 here at the Contender Series that they're looking at trying to beef up. But these guys got to get finishes. That's what heavyweights do. So, can it happen? I don't know. Let's get into it right now. In the heavyweight division at Dana White's Contender Series, you got Lucas Camacho taking on Mario Pinto. This is in fight 3. It should be a good one. Camacho 6-0. Pinto 8-0. Brazil versus Portugal. Look out. Now, we know Pinto is 6'5". Camacho's 31 years old. Pinto 26. So let's start with Camacho and dig a little bit deeper. No height listed. In his 6 wins, 3 KOs, 2 submissions, 1 decision. Again, both guys are undefeated, so no losses. Fought at a LFA the last 2. Won both by TKO. That's impressive. Now, Pinto, on the other hand, in his 8 wins, 4 by KO, 1 submission, 3 decisions. He's been fighting at a LFL, Levels Fight League. I mean, and he's been there from the beginning. Won 8 fights. Last one was by decision against Kasim Aris, and TKO before that against Benjamin Sahik. So, I mean, both guys are good, man. Both guys are very capable of winning fights. But it seems to me that Lucas Camacho is more of a finisher. And, you know, he has the capability of finishing this fight. And normally when it's close, I go with the guy from Brazil. But there's something about Pinto. When you see his picture, you'll understand what I'm saying. This guy looks tough, and he's 6'5". I mean, that's a big heavyweight. We already got another guy that's 6'7", 6'8". So the heavyweights looking to beef up. You're always looking for new fighters, and Pinto seems perfect for the UFC. I'm hoping he wins. I believe he wins this fight, in my opinion, likely on significant strikes. I'd like to see him get the KO, but it might be a decision fight. We'll see. But he wins this thing, heavyweight division. He'll move to 9-0 at Dana White's Contender Series. And that's really what matters, is the finish. I mean, you got to have the finish in this fight if you're a heavyweight fighter coming into the Contender Series. That's why we watch. I mean, you got to come in and do the job and get the finish and make a name for yourself and make it impossible for Dana White to say no. And I expect that in this one. Now, as we march our way up into the co-main event, fight number 2, it's going to be a big one. Lightweight division. One of the best divisions, right? You got Cody Steele 6-0 taking on Chasen Blair. Comes in at 6-2. This is USA versus USA. So without further ado, let's jump right into this one. You know, I love the lightweight division. Doesn't matter who's fighting. In the lightweight division at Dana White's Contender Series, you got Cody Steele taking on Chasen Blair. And you know me, I love lightweight division fights. They're always great. Now, Steele 6-0, Blair 6-2. USA versus USA. Blair's 1 inch taller, 5'10". Cody Steele, we know, has a 71-inch reach. He's 29 years old. He fights right-handed. In his 6 wins, again, no losses. He has 3 KOs, 1 submission, and 2 decisions, so he's well-rounded. Could be a good thing, maybe not, we'll see. But he's won the last 3 by KO or TKO, so that's important. Chasen Blair, in his 6 wins, 4 KOs, 2 submissions. He lost once by submission, once by decision. In his last fight, he won by submission against Florin Pertia at Cage Warriors 177. Now, he did lose one against Hassan Zada, who's already in the UFC, right? Ahmad Hassanzada by submission. He also lost a split decision to Jeff Craig, but he's fighting all these at a Cage Warriors. That's important to understand. His opponent's fighting at a Fury Fight Championships. Both are very good. Blair's been tested, though. That's going to be the key here. But I still think Cody Steele, there's something about Cody Steele that tells me he's going to win. These lightweight fights are always tough to predict because you know they're both going to be almost equally matched. It comes down to who wants it the most. Now, Blair losing to what we can now call a UFC fighter. So that's important. The other one was split decision. So it's going to be a close fight. It's a toss-up to me, and I haven't seen the odds. But I like Cody Steele in a close fight here because the guy's undefeated. And, fighting at a Fury Championships tells me that he, is fighting in a decent promotion as well. So I'll take him in this one, but by decision. Very close fight. Look for probably the fight of the night here. Steele moves to 7-0 in my opinion. Lightweight division. Dana White's Contender Series. Yeah, and that's the thing, is when you're looking at these fights, these guys don't have a lot of fights. They're both in decent promotions. I see that goose egg. I see that 6-0 record, and I'm like, do I really want to go, against a guy who hasn't lost yet? There's more of that what if factor. There's more room. There's more ceiling, right, than we might be aware of. I see the 2 losses, and I'm like, well, who are those 2 against? So, you got to play those things out and say, I can't, maybe he loses, but I can't go against a guy that has no losses. I just can't do it. Now, in the main event this week, week 9, Dana White's Contender Series, one of the final 6 fights for this season, right? You expect these fighters, one of them to get in, heavyweight division. Do you see what's happening? They want heavyweight fighters. You got Islam Masaraf, just 3-0, taking on Artem Bahitov, who's just 2-1. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. They're really going out looking for heavyweight fighters. Let's get into it right now. In the heavyweight division at Dana White's Contender Series, you got 2 relatively inexperienced fighters in Islam Masaraf taking on Artem Bahitov. So Masaraf just 3-0, Vakitov 2-1. This is France versus Russia. Bahitov 1 inch taller at 6'1". He's listed at 205, so he's coming up for this fight. I always find that interesting. 33 years old is Bahitov and a 75-inch reach. Now, beginning with lightning Islam Masaraf, again from France. 3 wins, 2 KOs, 1 submission. Fighting at a PFL, Professional Fighters League. So they're trying to steal one from the PFL, huh? He won that fight by KO. Now, on the flip side, Bahitov, 2 wins by KO. He was KO'd once. Who was he KO'd by? Ashraf Bashandi at Open Fighting Championships back in 2023. But that was due to arm injury. So, there's not much you can do about that. Since then, he won 2 in a row by TKO. So they're very close in relation. I'm going to lean towards Masaraf with, again, 2 inexperienced fighters, not much to go off of. But Masaraf fighting at the PFL and getting a win there, I think that's important, right? That tells me that at least he's got some decent competition. Therefore, if you don't know very much about both guys, go with the guy who has a little bit more experience and fought in a better promotion. It's paid off this season. I like Islam Masaraf to win. Not an easy fight, but I look for him to get the KO in round 1 or early round 2 to move to 4-0. That's my opinion. Heavyweight division. Dana White's Contender Series. I mean, let's be honest. How do you realistically make a prediction for guys that have like 3 fights each? And you just have to find something silly. And then you say, but oh man, you're just making a pick. I have my angle. I mean, we went 5-0 last week, didn't we? Or maybe 4-1, something like that. I remember it was really good. I think it was 5-0. I have to go back and check, but or was it the week prior? I don't remember. But we've had some really good weeks consistently, 3-2 or better out of the 5 fights. And you just have to find an angle. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So it is what it is. I just know the UFC needs heavyweights, and we'll have to see which one can get the job done in the octagon. But listen, that's going to do it for now. UFC 307 is a wrap. Pereira's still the champ. Juliana Pena is a new women's bantamweight champ. And we got 5 fights on Tuesday and another 14, I believe. Keeping me busy. 14 fights at UFC Vegas 98 this Saturday. So stay tuned. We'll be back later in the week. Check out all the predictions. Hit the like button on this video. Hit the subscribe button. We got 14 fights going to be posted here in the next 2 days. So stay tuned. This is your boy Chris Cross. Hope you have a great day and God bless. As always, peace.